Most people think retirement is a math problem. Hit a number, save enough, then relax. But that story is incomplete, and it hurts a lot of people. Because you can save for decades, reach a big balance, and still fail at retirement. Not because you ran out of money, because you never learned how to use it without fear. Here is the bold truth. Savings are not the goal. Savings are only storage. If you do not convert that storage into a clear plan for life, your savings can become a shiny cage, a big number on a screen that controls your mood. Up feels safe, down feels scary, and you end up living like you are still broke, even when you are not. This is more common than people admit. Many retirees do not have a money problem. They have a permission problem. They saved for 30 or 40 years. They were careful. They skipped things. They did the responsible stuff. Then retirement arrives, and instead of feeling free, they feel nervous. They keep saying maybe next year. They delay the trip. They delay the help for family. They delay the upgrade that would make daily life easier. They delay the health spending that would improve energy and mobility. They keep the money, but they do not use the life. And the worst part is this: time does not wait. There are some things you can only enjoy when you are healthy enough, when your partner can travel, when your grandkids still want to hang out, when you still have the energy to try new things. If you delay too long, the money stays, but the chance disappears. So when I say your savings are worthless, I do not mean the money has no value. I mean it has no value to you if it does not turn into a better real life. Money is not the finish line. Money is a tool, and retirement is the moment you finally use the tool. Now here is the problem nobody trains you for. The habits that made you good at saving can make you bad at retiring. Saving is about control. Saving is about caution. Saving is about building a bigger pile. Those habits are useful when you are working. But retirement is different. Retirement is not about building the pile bigger forever. Retirement is about turning the pile into a steady life. That switch is hard, because your brain does not like spending from a pile. Your brain treats spending like loss, and the human brain hates loss. Even smart people feel this. Even calm people feel this. You might tell yourself, I can afford it, but another part of you says, what if I need it later? That voice is not evil. It is not weakness. It is old wiring. Your brain was built for survival. For most of human history, safety meant having extra food stored away. More stored food meant fewer chances of dying in winter. That wiring still lives inside you. So when you see your retirement account, your brain labels it winter food, and when you spend, your brain feels like you are eating the seed. It does not matter that you have a pension, or investments, or a plan. That old part of the brain is not doing math, it is doing fear. Now add one more layer. You trained this fear for decades. Every month you saved, you taught your brain one lesson. Spending is risky. Saving is good. Every time you paid down debt, you taught that lesson. Every time you avoided a big purchase, you taught that lesson. Every time you watched your account grow, you felt a reward. So you built a strong saving identity. That identity helped you win the first half of the game, but then retirement starts. And nobody tells you the rules changed. The skill of building wealth is patience. The skill of using wealth is clarity. Clarity means knowing what the money is for. Clarity means spending with purpose, not guilt. Clarity means having a system that keeps you calm when markets drop, because markets will drop again. This is another part people forget. Retirement is long. It is not 1 year. It can be 20, 25, even 30 years. And during that time, you will live through bad markets. You will see scary headlines. You will see your account go down. That is normal. But if you do not have a plan for those moments, you will react. And reacting is expensive. Fast money culture makes this worse. It teaches people to chase quick wins. It teaches people to treat investing like a game. It teaches people to check prices all day. It teaches people to panic when red shows up. That mindset is dangerous at any age, but in retirement, it can be deadly to your peace. Because you are not just watching numbers now, you are living off those numbers. So the real risk in retirement is not just market risk, the real risk is forced selling. Forced selling happens when you need money right now, but the market is down. So you sell at a bad time, and that can turn a normal market drop into permanent damage. This is why you need the one thing that makes savings useful: a retirement operating system. A simple set of rules you follow no matter what the market is doing. Not a perfect plan, a steady plan. A plan built for real life. A plan built for fear. A plan built for uncertainty. Because you cannot remove uncertainty. You can only build around it. Now let me tell you what we are going to do in this video. We are going to build your retirement operating system in a clear way. We will cover 4 parts. First, purpose. Second, paycheck. Third, portfolio. Fourth, protocol. Purpose means you decide what the money is for while you are alive. Not vague goals, real goals. Paycheck means you create a simple way money moves to your spending life so you are not guessing each month. Portfolio means you stop thinking like a trader and start thinking like an owner. You focus on business quality, strong balance sheets, and moats that last. You respect price and margin of safety. Protocol means you have rules for your emotions, rules for fear, rules for greed, rules for news overload, rules that protect you from your worst self on your worst day. If you do these 4 parts, your savings stop being a trophy, they become a tool. And that is the point, because retirement is not about dying with the biggest number. Retirement is about living with the most peace. Now we start with the first part, purpose. This is where many people get stuck. They can tell you their account balance, but they cannot tell you what they are saving for anymore. They have been saving so long that saving became the purpose. So here is a simple exercise. You write 5 lines. 5, no speeches, no perfect words. Just 5 real things your money is meant to do in your life. Maybe it is comfort. Maybe it is health, maybe it is time with family, maybe it is travel, maybe it is helping your kids at the right time, not just later. Maybe it is learning something you always wanted to learn. If you cannot write 5 lines, that is not a failure, that is a signal. It means you have been focused on the size of the pot, not the job of the pot. And if you do not decide what the money is for, your brain will default to the old rule. Save more, spend less, stay safe. That rule made sense at 35. It may not make sense now, because time is also a resource, and time cannot be saved. So purpose is the first key. It gives spending a reason. It turns spending from loss into mission. Now here is a second question that makes this real. Which of your 5 lines has a time window? Because some goals are easier earlier. Some goals are only possible while you have enough energy. If you ignore time windows, you might keep the money and miss the chance. And that is a bad trade. In the next part, we will turn purpose into a simple spending plan, a plan that protects essentials, gives you room to enjoy life, and reduces the risk of forced selling when markets drop. Then we will connect it to investing the right way in retirement. Owner mindset, margin of safety, moats, temperament. Because in retirement, your greatest asset is not a hot tip. Your greatest asset is staying calm and avoiding forced decisions. So keep going, because once you see why your brain resists spending, and once you build a simple system, retirement can start to feel like what it was supposed to be. Not a new kind of fear, but a new kind of freedom. Purpose is the first key, but purpose alone is not enough. Because you can know what you want and still freeze each month when it is time to pull money out. That is why the second part matters, paycheck. Most people spend their working life building a paycheck. Then they retire, and they lose the paycheck, and nobody replaces it with a system. So they do what feels safe. They avoid spending, or they spend randomly. Both paths create stress. In retirement, you do not want random. You want a simple flow. You want a calm plan that turns savings into steady income. Not perfectly, just steadily. Here is the big idea. Your retirement plan should not depend on this week's market mood. If you pay your monthly bills based on what the market did this week, you will live on an emotional roller coaster. Green month, you breathe. Red month, you panic. That is not freedom. That is a new kind of job. So the goal is simple. Build a paycheck system that protects you from forced selling. Forced selling is the silent destroyer in retirement. It happens when you need cash, but markets are down. So you sell at bad prices. You lock in loss. Then you have less left to recover. This is why the same market drop can feel very different in retirement than it did when you were working. When you were working, you could wait. You could keep earning. In retirement, if you pull from the portfolio at the wrong time, you can do real damage. So your paycheck system needs a buffer, not a giant pile of cash forever. Just enough time so you are not forced. Time is the real asset. Time is what lets you stay calm. Time is what lets you wait for markets to recover. Time is what keeps your brain from making fear decisions. Here is a simple way to build the paycheck system. Think in 3 spending layers. Layer 1 is essentials. This is your base life: housing, food, utilities, transport, basic insurance, healthcare. Layer 2 is lifestyle: travel, hobbies, family visits, small comfort upgrades. Layer 3 is legacy: gifts, charity, helping family, big projects. Why layers? Because layers make spending flexible. You can protect essentials no matter what. You can adjust lifestyle spending when the world changes. You can keep legacy plans thoughtful and calm. Layers stop panic. They give you options. And options are what you need in retirement. Now let's talk about the buffer. A buffer is money set aside to fund life without selling long-term investments at the wrong time. It can be cash. It can be short-term safe assets. The point is not to get fancy. The point is to create space. Here is the simplest question. If markets fall for a while, how many months of essentials can you cover without touching your long-term holdings? Even a few months can change how you feel, because fear often comes from one sentence. What if I have to sell now? If you remove that fear, you remove a huge part of retirement stress. So if you only take one idea from this part, take this. Retirement freedom is not only about having money, it is about having time. A buffer buys time. Now, some people hear buffer and they feel 2 fears. Fear 1. What if I hold cash and miss growth? Fear 2. What if I invest and lose money? This is where calm thinking matters. A good plan is not extreme. It is balanced. Cash has a job. Investments have a job. Your job is to assign roles, not to chase the best thing this year. Here is a simple role plan. Role 1 is safety. This covers essentials and near-term needs. Role 2 is growth. This fights inflation over long time. Role 3 is flexibility. This is money you can use for goals that matter at the time they matter. When you build roles, you stop seeing money as one big pot. You start seeing money as a system, and systems reduce fear. Now we move to the third part, portfolio. This is where many retirees get tempted into the wrong mindset. They look at retirement like a time to play it safe, but they confuse safe with simple. And they confuse simple with doing nothing. Or they do the opposite. They feel behind. They see someone online bragging. They start chasing risky ideas to catch up. Both paths are dangerous, because retirement is not the time for thrills. It is the time for durability. Durability means you own things that can survive storms, and you own them at prices that are not crazy. This is where long-term value thinking matters. In simple words, value thinking means this: you focus on what you get, not what people feel. You focus on business strength, not market noise. You focus on the long run, not the next week. So let's make portfolio thinking plain. A stock is not a chart. A stock is part ownership of a business. A business either earns real cash or it does not. A business either has an edge or it does not. A business either can survive hard times or it cannot. In retirement, you want to own businesses that can keep operating even when the economy slows. You want businesses with steady demand. You want businesses with pricing power. You want businesses with strong balance sheets. You want businesses with real moats. A moat is just protection. It is the reason customers stay. It is the reason competitors cannot easily copy and steal profits. Moats can come from a trusted brand. They can come from switching costs. They can come from scale and low costs. They can come from a network effect. They can come from a special way to reach customers. You do not need a moat that lasts forever, but you want a moat that lasts long enough to matter. Now let's turn this into a quick business checklist. Before you rely on an investment in retirement, ask these simple questions. Do customers keep buying even in bad times? Can the business raise prices without losing most customers? Does it have low or manageable debt? Does it generate real cash, not just exciting headlines? Can I explain how it makes money in one sentence? If you can't answer, that is a warning. It does not mean you are dumb. It means the investment may not belong in the part of your plan that must stay calm. Because retirement is not only about returns, it is about behavior. You need investments you can hold when the market gets loud. If you don't understand what you own, you will not hold it through fear. And in retirement, Fear can turn into selling. That is why understanding is a form of safety. Now we need to talk about the second half of portfolio thinking, price. This is where many people get hurt. They think buying a great company means it must be safe, but a great business can still be a bad deal at a high price. Overpaying is hidden risk. It does not feel risky when markets are rising. It feels smart. It feels like you bought quality, but overpaying is like buying a good house at a crazy price. The house is still good, but the deal is bad. So in retirement, the rule is simple. Do not pay any price just to feel safe. Safety is not a brand name. Safety is structure and price. This is where margin of safety comes in. Margin of safety means room. Room for being wrong. Room for surprises. Room for normal bad years. Here is a simple valuation question that keeps you grounded. If the next few years are only average, does this still make sense? If it only makes sense when everything goes perfect, it is fragile. Retirement plans should not be fragile. They should be built to survive normal problems. Now, let's talk about the biggest temptation in retirement. Watching the market. People retire, and suddenly they have more time. So they watch more news. They check their portfolio more. They scroll more. They react more. This can destroy peace, because your brain was not built to watch prices all day. It will treat every move as danger or as an exciting chance. Both are emotional, and emotional is the enemy of long-term compounding. So your retirement portfolio needs one more rule. Attention control. This is not a small thing. This is risk control. If you want to stay calm, you must protect your inputs. Here is a simple attention rule. If the information does not change what you will do in the next year, it is probably noise. Noise creates fear. Fear creates action. Action creates mistakes. So in retirement, less noise often means better results. Not because you are ignoring reality, because you are ignoring panic. Now, let's connect paycheck and portfolio together. If you have no paycheck system, your portfolio becomes your paycheck. That sounds normal, but it creates one huge danger. It makes you sell into weakness. So here is the calm connection. Paycheck system plus buffer gives the portfolio time to work. Portfolio quality plus margin of safety gives you a better chance to hold through volatility. Holding through volatility is not about being brave. It is about being prepared. Preparation is what makes calm possible. Now, we are ready for the final part, protocol. This is the plan for your emotions, because retirement is not only a money game, it is a mind game. Your brain will try to protect you. It will say, do something. It will say, sell now. It will say, this time is different. It will say, everyone else knows something. And if you listen to that voice in the heat of the moment, you can turn a normal market drop into a personal crisis. So in the next part, we will build your retirement protocol. A simple set of steps for red markets, a rule for fear, a rule for FOMO, a rule for headlines, and a simple way to decide when to do nothing and when to act without panic, because this is what makes your savings useful. Not the size of the number, but the system that keeps you steady while you use it. Protocol is the part most people skip. They plan their money. They do not plan their mind. But in retirement, your mind is the main risk. Because you can have enough money and still make one bad decision in a panic, and that one decision can do more damage than a normal market drop. So the final part of your retirement operating system is a protocol. A protocol is a simple set of steps you follow when emotions get loud, because when emotions get loud, your brain lies. Fear lies. It says, this drop will never end. FOMO lies. It says, this is your last chance. Greed lies. It says, take more risk. You can't lose. If you do not have rules, you will act on those lies. And that is how people turn retirement into stress. So here is the retirement protocol. It is simple. It is not perfect, but it protects you from big mistakes. Step 1. Pause. When you feel a strong emotion about money, you stop. No big money move on the same day as big emotion. You do not need to be fast. You need to be right enough. So you pause. Even one day can change your decision. Step 2. Name the emotion. Say it out loud or write it down. I feel fear. I feel urgency. I feel FOMO. This sounds small, but it works. When you name a feeling, you create space. You stop being inside the emotion. You start looking at it. Step 3. Ask the key question. Did the business change or did the mood change? Most of the time in market drops, people got scared, headlines got loud, prices moved fast, but the business is still selling to customers. The business is still earning cash. So you must separate facts from feelings. This is owner thinking. It is calm thinking. It is the opposite of crowd thinking. Step 4. Check your base. This is your forced selling check. Ask these questions. How many months of essentials are covered without selling long-term investments? Do I have a buffer? Am I being forced right now? If you are not being forced, you have time. If you have time, you can think. If you can think, you can avoid the biggest mistakes. Step 5. Use your checklist. You already have a quality checklist. Now you use it. Are customers still there? Is the balance sheet still strong? Is the moat still real? Is the business still earning real cash? Did something break, or is this just fear? You are not trying to predict the next week. You are checking the foundation. Step 6. Make one small decision, not 10 big ones. In stress, people do too much. They sell everything, or they buy everything. Both are usually emotional. Small moves protect your mind. They reduce regret. They keep your system stable. Now add one more rule that saves many retirees. Never take financial instructions from a crowd. Crowds are emotional. Crowds chase what is hot. Crowds panic when things drop. Crowds talk in extreme words. Crash dot collapse. Once in a lifetime. If you build your decisions on crowd mood, your plan will change every week, and that will destroy consistency. So the rule is simple. When fear rises, reduce inputs. Check less. Think more. Now let's talk about the most common retirement mistake during volatility. People check their accounts too often. They think checking makes them safe, but checking all day trains fear. It trains your brain to treat every move as danger. So if you want calm, you need an attention rule. Here are a few simple examples. I check my portfolio on a schedule, not all day. I do not watch breaking market news. I focus on my plan and my checklist. If I feel panic, I step away for a day. These rules sound simple, but they are powerful because attention controls emotion. Emotion controls action. Action controls results. Now let's connect protocol back to the title. Your savings are worthless if you do not do this in retirement. What is the this? It is not one stock. It is not one trick. It is not a magic number. It is building a system that turns money into a stable life. Purpose, paycheck, portfolio, protocol. Without these, you can have money and still live in fear. With these, your money becomes useful. It becomes a tool. Now I want to give you a simple one-page summary you can keep. Purpose. Write 5 things the money is for. Add anytime windows. Paycheck. Build spending layers. Protect essentials. Create a buffer so you are not forced. Portfolio. Think like an owner. Prefer durable businesses. Respect price and margin of safety. Protocol. Pause. Name emotion. Check base. Check facts. Act slowly. That is the system. And it is designed for real life. Because retirement is not smooth, markets will move, health will change. Family needs will show up. So you want a plan that can bend, not a plan that breaks. Now here is the final question. This question is not meant to scare you. It is meant to clarify. If you were looking back later in life, what would you regret not doing while you still had the health and energy? What would you regret not spending on? Not waste spending, purpose spending. Health, time with family, experiences, learning, helping people while you can see the impact. Write down one answer. Just one. Then ask the next question. What is stopping you? For most people, the answer is not money. It is fear. It is old wiring. It is habit. It is a lack of a system. And that is good news, because habits can change, and systems can be built. You do not need to change everything this week. Start small. Write your 5 purpose lines. Build your spending layers. Set a buffer target. Write your protocol steps on one page. Then follow the system the next time the market gets loud. Because the goal of retirement is not to win a game. The goal is to live with peace. Money is stored choice. Retirement is when you finally use that choice. And if you do it with a calm system, your savings stop being a number. They become a better life.